Russia hitting Ukraine's infrastructure with massive strikes across the country. Power plants in several regions targeted by both kamikaze drones and cruise missiles. This video purports to show Ukraine taking down one of them, but some hitting civilian areas like this residential building in the southern town Mykolaiv.
We woke up at 1:45 a.m. because of a very loud explosion. It's impossible to describe it. There was so much dust.
The Ukrainians say 30% of their energy infrastructure has already been destroyed by Moscow's blitz. Key installations like this power plant in the city Dnipro hit by multiple missiles. Ukraine's air defenses sometimes also overwhelmed by swarms of cheap kamikaze drones.
The world can and must stop this terror. When we talk about Ukraine's need for air and missile defense systems, we talk about real lives taken by terrorists.
Kyiv believes Moscow is resorting to drone strikes because its forces are running out of precision cruise missiles. Stocks of some weapons already critically low, Ukraine's military intelligence claims. But Russia's army is showing no signs of letting up.
During the last 24 hours, the armed forces of the Russian Federation continued to deploy long-range, high-precision weapons, both air and sea-based, on Ukraine's military command sites and energy infrastructure.
Russia continues to face major problems with its mobilization effort. While many Russian regions claim they fulfilled their recruitment targets, some recruits complain they're not getting adequately compensated.
The motherland called, so we are all here and we are going to defend it. But while we care about the motherland, it does not care about us at all. The question is, when will it be done? We will go there now, and our relatives who have been staying at home for a whole month without any provision, they're struggling. In a month, they will be homeless.
Ukrainian officials believe despite Russia's strikes, its forces will prevail on the battlefield. The senior intelligence leader saying Russia's defeat is inevitable.
And one of the reasons, Aaron, why the Ukrainians are so confident is, of course, that situation down in Kherson, where the Ukrainians are saying they're continuing to make some pretty significant gain, of course, closing in on the capital city of that region, which is also called Kherson. Hearing now from pro-Russian officials that they want to start evacuating civilians from that area simply because the Ukrainians are coming so close. One of the only places, by the way, where the Ukrainians are having more trouble is actually where I am right now. It's the Kramatorsk-Bakhmut region, and this is where they're fighting some of the toughest Russian fighters from that private military company called Wagner. Aaron?
Wagner Group. All right, thank you very much, Fred, from Dnipro tonight. I want to bring in now the White House National Security Council spokesman, John Kirby. And Admiral, I appreciate your time. Look, we're hearing Putin's top commander talk about what he says are difficult decisions when it comes to Kherson. He said that today in an interview. Kherson, of course, has been under Russian control since the beginning of the war. Ukraine has made some significant gains there. What does your intelligence indicate? Is Ukraine on the verge of another major win there?
They certainly are putting a lot of pressure on the Russian troops that are around the sort of the northwestern edge of their presence in the Kherson Oblast. They're across the Dnipro River, but they're sort of isolated, and so the Ukrainians are putting a lot of pressure on them, Aaron, and they're sort of advancing on multiple fronts in that part of the Kherson Oblast. Now, I will tell you that just from what we've been seeing the last 24, 48 hours, there hasn't been a lot of geographic advances made by the Ukrainians, but they are applying a lot more pressure in that area, and that would explain why some Russian officials are thinking about maybe moving those troops back across the river so that they don't get cut off.
So in the context here, the head of Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Agency predicts that the war will end, quote, by the summer. By the summer, everything should be over. That really stood out to me. I haven't heard anybody else make such a prediction. Do you think that that's possible?
Well, look, we think the war should end today, and we'd love it to end right as soon as possible. Shorter the better, obviously. I think everybody wants to see all this death and destruction come to a close, and for the Ukrainian people to enjoy their sovereignty and their independence again. I am not in a position where I could say we could verify that prediction by summer. I think you need to be real careful with war. It's unpredictable, as we have all seen ourselves over the last 20 years here in the United States. Very difficult to say with accuracy, that the war is going to end on a certain date. Now, we do know the bad weather's coming. and it's going to make it hard for both armies to be able to maneuver in either the Donbass or down in the south due to the muddy roads, the constant rain, and of course the cloud cover. So we're going to have to see where things end up come wintertime.
So into this is a war that in some ways seems to be getting bigger and broadening. Admiral, I'm talking about Iran. We've confirmed tonight that Iran sent military personnel to Crimea to train Russian troops on using those Iranian-made kamikaze drones. And the Washington Post actually reports that Iran is maybe going to be sending ballistic missiles to Russia too, which would be right incredible. You look at those Iskander missiles that Putin had at the beginning of the war, nearly 90% of them are gone. The Iranian missiles could theoretically replace or even give him more than he had before. It's unclear. What do you think? Could Iranian arms help transform Putin's depleted arsenal?
I think it remains to be seen, Aaron. It really does. I think it's too soon to know what kind of an impact that Iran's support's going to have on the battlefield. They do have a burgeoning ballistic missile program at home, and certainly they have an intrinsic organic ability to create to manufacture these drones. But whether it's going to have a strategic effect on the battlefield, again, I think we need to know a lot more. I mean, so far, I think you could say that it hasn't. I mean, in fact, all they've done with these attacks over the last few days is stiffen the resolve of the Ukrainian people and make them more determined to claw back territory that is rightfully theirs. So I think we're just going to have to, we'll see where this goes.
There's another aspect to this story of the U.S. relation with Russia that you have been closely involved with. The WNBA star Brittany Griner is still there in Russia. She spent her 32nd birthday today in prison. She released a statement through her lawyers, Admiral, that said, quote, "Thank you everyone for fighting so hard to get me home. All the support and love are definitely helping me." But yet she's still there. The U.S. offered the notorious arms dealer Victor Bout as part of a prisoner swap. But our understanding is that Russia has not provided any serious counteroffer.
Yeah.
What do you think right now? Do they have any interest in releasing Griner?
We are working that real hard, Aaron. I can't speak for Russian intentions. I can tell you that we have made a very serious proposal. We continue to be in discussions with Russian officials about finding a way to bring her and Mr. Whalen home.
Right,
She shouldn't have to spend another day, let alone another birthday, in wrongful detention in Russia. And we are working that real hard. I can tell you it's top of mind for the president. It's top of mind for everybody here on the national security team. We want to get these two Americans home, and we're willing to continue to have those kinds of discussions with Russian officials. We urge them, of course, to take us up on the proposal. Short of that, we're willing to keep talking to them.
All right. Thank you very much. Admiral John Kirby there with the Security Council. And I want to go now to Dan Rice.